Hi my lovelies, live with Rosehoff once again, and if you're new here, thank you for joining us. Welcome to the Rosehoff family. Subscribe, turn on your notification button so you never miss out on a video. It's been amazing roughly 2-3 weeks ever since I started this journey of empowering you through sharing information about particular issue that you've been all very interested in: visa applications, moving, relocation, studying, work, and so on and so forth. So when I posted my last video about the Schengen visa requirements, many of you asked me to do a specific video about the Aupair visa application process and requirements. So I'm going to dive right in. If you're new here, once again, it's Live with Rosehoff. Don't forget to subscribe. Thank you all for sharing my videos, for always liking, for the comments, and for the feedback. I mean, I'm doing this video out of your feedback, and I appreciate that so much. Continue doing that. I really appreciate you. So speaking of an Aupair visa falls under the category of a national visa. If you're moving to Germany in particular, it's called a national visa because you'll be staying longer than the usual 90 Schengen visa days. Normally when you apply for a Schengen visa, you'll get a maximum of 90 days. If you're applying for an Aupair visa to come as an Aupair to Germany, for example, to get that visa, you must be willing to stay for at least 6 months, and maximum is 1 year. So that means the visa you're applying for is called a national visa. So I'm going to take you step by step. First of all, I'll start with the costs. That's what most of you always ask. Oh, what's this visa going to cost me, and so on and so forth. A national visa, coming as an Aupair, that means you're coming to work. So anyone coming to work in Germany, the visa costs 75 euros. Very important, once you get to Germany with an Aupair visa, with a national visa, you must immediately apply or register for the residence permit immediately. That means the right to stay in Germany for that period of time, because you're staying longer than the usual 90 days. So I'll be taking you step by step, and then at the end I'll just give you a checklist of the things that you need. First of all, it's important to know what's an Aupair and what do they look at when they're giving this Aupair visa. Aupair is a word actually out of the French language, which means something like, how do I say it? You know, like the English word of one hand washes another. I don't know if that's an English word or German word, or like benefiting both parties. So Aupair means that the family is benefiting from the person that is coming to stay with the family, of course, through the services that she'll be rendering, and the Aupair person get to benefit from the family through cultural exchange, through learning the language, and of course, earning a living while at it. So it really, those two factors are very important, as you'll notice at the end when I explain about certain things, because that will be important when you apply for your visa in your motivational letter and your interview. I'll definitely do a separate video about the motivation letter and give you tips about how to do it, but these points are important for you to know what's an Aupair and what's actually the goal of an Aupair. So those are things that they look at that are actually in the law and help in deciding if you get this Aupair visa or not. Definitely, obviously, you need a passport. You need a passport that's not older than 10 years. A passport that is not about to expire. So if you're going to be staying in Germany for 1 year, your passport should be, if let's say you're staying up to December, your passport shouldn't be expiring in December. You understand? It should be going at least like April of the next year. That's very important. You must also have 2 free sites if you're a constant traveler, frequent traveler. That means you must have at least 2 free sites for the visa stamping. That's very important. Like I told you, all documents should be translated into the German language, and with all documents I mean like your certificates, if you have like maybe a degree, or depending on your study background, work background, try to have all documents translated into the German language if you can. And most important, like the contract, it has to be in the German language. Things that you don't really need to translate the passport, but the rest of the things you really try hard and translate them. It helps speed up the process. All documents have to be in original copies. like original, if you're giving in your passport, your language certificate, your contract, they also accept like a copy or a fax. They accept as long as it's signed. But the rest of the documents have to be in original, and then you also attach 2 copies. Once the process is done, you get your original documents back. And with documents, I mean school certificates, language certificate, job contract, passports. I'm talking about job references. If you have a working experience as an au pair or as a childminder, I almost said chairminder, as a childminder, all those certificates and recommendations, just attach them because they help in some way. Very important to know is that your visa is not only approved by the German embassy, but it also must be approved by the immigration office, that is the Ausländerbehörde, and the work agency, government work agency here in Germany. So these 2 agencies are called Ausländerbehörde, that is the immigration office, and Bundesagentur für Arbeit. Those 2 agencies have to approve your visa too. For example, if the Bundesagentur für Arbeit denies it or rejects it, then you don't get the visa. So there are 3 parties that are involved in approving your visa: the Agentur für Arbeit, the Ausländerbehörde, and the embassy. And the reason it has to go through these 2 behördes in Germany, because you're going to be staying quite longer, like I told you, longer than the normal Schengen visa. Secondly, they have to be an approved job contract. Thirdly, the agency bringing you must be approved, you know, like it must be, we have a registered, we have like laws that govern which agencies are allowed to bring people here or not. I think it's called ALT or something like that. And it has to be in that list and fulfill all those conditions. So once your application goes through these 2 agencies in Germany, then there's probably no reason why you can't get a visa. And that's why the process actually takes long. It takes 1 to 2 months. Sometimes it might take longer if you don't bring all the necessary documents. So like I'll tell you at the end, it's important to have like your checklist before you make the application. Make sure that you have everything, so you don't you avoid delays or sometimes even rejection if there are some papers missing. Like I said, in the other visas that I talked about, in the other video that I talked about, I said it's very important to have flight itinerary. In this case, when it comes to the au pair, please don't book a flight before getting the visa, because the possibility of 1, it getting rejected is high. 2, your process might take longer than expected. So you don't have to have a booked flight while applying for this visa. You are allowed to do that after getting the visa. Similar to all other visas, like I said, but I think I'll jump to that when I get to the checklist, right? Another important thing, you must have a contract, of course. I mean, if you're coming to work as an au pair, you must have a contract from the family that is taking you up, signed by you, and all other documents that may be necessary. And the embassy might even demand for other documents that they may consider necessary to have a look at. So you should be available. I'll talk about that in the checklist when you're giving in your contacts and everything. Make sure to check your emails all the time. Make sure you're available on your phone in case they need anything from you. Very important also, it's important to learn the German language. If you're going to come to Germany as an au pair, you must at least have the level A1 of the German language. And you must do it in a certified school, or you must have a certificate from a certified German language provider. For Ugandan people, I would advise you to go to the Goethe Institute in Kampala. I think it's in Bokoto, Kamocha. And then in Kenya, we also have one. Just Google and you'll find the schools, and make sure you get to do German certificate level A1. It's very, very important. And of course, you don't have to be perfect, because one of the reasons, what I'll also talk about when I do the next video about the motivation letter, is coming as an au pair originally the main aim, and that's why the age is limited up to maximum 27. It's considered for people in that young category, students or people who have just completed high school and they're not sure what they want to do yet. So it's also more of a culture exchange and the language learning experience. So that's why the A1 is enough, because they expect you to learn the language also when you get here to Germany. It's not compulsory, but it's expected. And that brings us to a very, very important point. Let me see how to explain this. For example, if you're going to work for a family as an au pair, both it is important that the couple or the guest parents are indigenous German speaking people, or let's say the German language is their mother language. But if you're coming to work for a couple, for example, let's say I'm Ugandan and I'm coming to work for a Ugandan couple, that means husband and wife, I will not get that visa. At least one of the couples, one of the guest parents must have the German language as their mother tongue. So here's an example. If me, an African girl, Ugandan Rwandan, I'm married to a German person and we decide to bring an au pair from Uganda, she will still be allowed to work for us because at least one of the guest parents has the German language as their indigenous mother tongue language. I hope you understand that. Let me put it again very clear. If you're a Ugandan and you come to Germany to work, for example, for a Ugandan couple, you want to come to Germany and you have a contract and everything, you will not get the visa because one of the ties bound to this visa, or one of the, that's really anchored in the laws. I can't tell you the paragraphs now, but it's anchored in the laws because one of the incentives should be for you to learn the German language. So it is expected that at least one of the guest families speaks the German language as their ethnic or their mother language so that you're able to learn from them. I hope that's very clear. If it's not clear, feel free to ask me in the comment section and I'll let you understand that. Like I said, in the past, actually, it used to be up to 29 years, like anyone could work as an au pair if you're between the age of 18 and 29. But now they reduced it to 27. You shouldn't be more than 27 years old. Definitely, if you, for example, put in your application, you have a family, you have a children, most likely 99% you won't get a visa. Because of course they will look at, that's when I'll explain also in the motivation letter, they will look at factors like what is your incentive, what is motivating you. I mean, what is your plan after doing this au pair? And then it becomes really tricky to explain in the motivation letter. But I'll do that in the other video where I get to explain to you what's a motivational letter, because you need that to apply for the visa. And latest, even if you don't put it in the application, latest when you go for the interview, they'll ask you. And actually, those are the main reasons or the main deciding factor if you get a visa or not, because that's anchored in the laws. But I'll not get into it right now. Not forgetting, an au pair visa can be only granted once in a lifetime, so you can't come to Germany as an au pair, change families and get an au pair, another au pair visa to another family. That's not possible. Once your year is over, you definitely switch to something else, but you can't get a second au pair year visa. I hope I've explained everything properly. Once again, like I always say, feel free to ask me in the comment section. Feel free to DM me on Instagram, on Facebook, on TikTok under the name Rooshoff. Rooshoff. And on Instagram, you can also put the Roos.hoff. But you'll still be able to find me. Now, I'm going to take you to the checklist. Checklist means these are the things. I'll try and put it in the description box too. So when you're going to apply for this visa, write them down, print them out, and like tick off everything that you have. That's why it's called a checklist. So I'm going to go one by one. So on the checklist, definitely you're going to need the application formula. Application formula, it's mostly available online, and very important to note also for people who are coming to Germany, for the people applying for the 90-day Schengen visa, the German embassy outsourced that service to an agency. So your documents and everything are sent to this agency. But for the rest of the visas, the application goes directly to the German embassy, just so you know. So you need an application formula. You need to sign your confirmation letter. There's a letter that shows I, X, Z, hereby confirm that everything I said is nothing and nothing but the truth, and so on. So you have to sign that. Then you need 2 passport photos. You go on the website and you get the right biometric sizes, or when you go to photographers, they know what size is needed. You're definitely going to need a passport that is not older than 10 years, that is not about to expire. So if you're staying in Germany till December, your passport should be valid at least minimum up to May. And you must have 2 free sites where they'll put your visa. I'm trying to say everything slowly so you can get me, but I also try and put it in the description box. Next thing that you're going to need, an ID card. If it's applicable in your country. I think Uganda we have Ndangamuntu. Is it what it's called, Ndangamuntu? Or I don't know what you call it, but you definitely have IDs in Uganda. I believe so. You're going to need a signed au pair contract. The contract signed by your employers, that is the family you're going to work for, and signed by you. It can be an original, but they also accept a copy, or if it's sent by fax, it's also accepted. And that is like a deal breaker. If you don't have a contract, you won't definitely get a visa to come and work as an au pair. So that's very, very important. You're going to need a registration certificate that is called in German the melde Bescheinigung from the host family, confirming that they have the financial capacity and everything to take care of you. That's one. Secondly, that they have children that are below the years of 18. I repeat, you'll need a melde Bescheinigung that shows, for example, where someone lives, where someone is registered, how many people live in the family, if they have children, and they need that confirmation to know that they have underage children. Underage children means in Germany children below the age of 18, which means it makes them valid host families or valid guest families for an au pair. Definitely you're going to need passport copies from the guest family. That means if someone is married, for example, you're going to need from the husband and the wife. You're going to have this what is it called? You're going to need the field questionnaire, but it's filled by the guest family, and that is how to explain that? So when the guest family, for example, chooses to get an au pair, there's a particular questionnaire from the Bundesagentur für Arbeit. Bundesagentur für Arbeit, like I told you, is the work agency, government work agency. So they have like how do you say it in English? A muster. I'll just say muster. That is German. I've forgotten how you say it. Like they have a muster already, a formula that is there that the guest parents must fill out. So they'll fill it out, and they definitely have to send you a copy so you can take it to apply for the visa. So as you notice, actually most of the work is done by the au pair family and by the agency. You also have some work, but most of the things that most of you are fearing, because like I told you, have a WhatsApp group where people get to ask me questions free of charge, and most were like, oh my god, I need someone to do the paperwork for me, I don't know how to do these things. But most of the things actually you don't have to do. Most of the things have to be done by the family. The things that you have to do are just normal things that you have or you should have actually to start this process. So it's not as difficult as you thought. Health insurance, definitely, like I told you, for anyone coming to Germany, whether to visit, to travel, to work, whatever, you definitely need health insurance. In this case, coming as an au pair, even if you don't have the health insurance yet, by the application of the visa, they'll still work on your process. But latest, when you come to pick up your visa, you must have confirmation of the health insurance. So that means if maybe the guest parents are doing that for you and they're getting you insurance cover, or if you're doing it yourself and it takes long, you can still start the application process and then bring the confirmation the day you come to pick up the visa. But you definitely must have health insurance. And before you all ask me now in the comment section, oh my god, which companies offer health insurance, just go to my video which is titled Visa Application Requirements, and then when you go in the description box, you're going to see the names of the different companies that offer health insurance for Germany, the ones that are accepted by the embassy. So definitely you will need that. Oh, so many things I know, but as much as they sound scary and everything, it's very easy things. Now comes the important part, but I won't talk much about it because I'll do a video about it. You definitely need a motivational letter. A motivational letter, I'll talk briefly about it. It's where you get to explain why you are going to Germany, why you want to come to Germany as an au pair, what is your motivation, what are your future plans, you know. And this is the part where you have to be careful how you formulate it, careful how you write it, because this is that break or make point, because there they get to filter out and see what are your really like real intentions, or what are your ulterior motives. So that's why I said I'm going to do another video about it, and I'll be explaining to you how to do it based on the laws, because this one is anchored in the laws. The motivational letter is anchored in the laws, and it's the deciding factor if you get a visa or not, because it gets to tell them if you are really, how do I say it, like if your motive is really just to come as an au pair, if you know what I mean. So I'll definitely do a video about that and guide you about how to do a motivational letter. So like I said, be careful how you write it. I told you from the beginning, right from the beginning, whichever job you're going to apply for, you definitely need a CV. Definitely. A personally written CV, and I would advise you to, of course, print it on computer, type it out and print it out. If you need guidance on how to write a CV, I have a video also on my channel explaining how to write a CV step by step. And then, like I've always told you, any jobs that you've done before, if you can get any recommendations, any certificates, make sure to attach them because it helps. And especially if they have to do with, you know, child minding, child keeping, housekeeping, and so on and so forth. So for my people in Dubai, in Abu Dhabi, in Saudi Arabia, doing that kind of work, if you have a nice boss, try to convince them to give you a recommendation letter, so you at least have evidence of experience in this kind of work. You're going to need your birth certificates, your qualifications, degree courses, and this is where the language course comes in. Definitely you must have the certificate from Goethe Institute, and the level you need is A1. A1 is enough. I know some agencies say if you have up to A2, it's nice. Of course, it makes everything easier, but the mandatory level is A1. So if you manage to do the A1, that should be okay. You're going to need evidence of your financial status. Just like any visa, you have to prove that you have the financial muscle to take care of yourself while in Germany. Advantage here is, for you, actually, the only financial proof you need is this job contract, because the job contract shows and stipulates what you're going to be earning for your entire stay in Germany. So that's actually what you need as your, I would say, your evidence. Invitation letter from the family. That's a no-brainer, that's obvious, but as you notice, that's not your job. That's the job of the guest family, but it's nice to have this checklist for yourself. So if you notice, oh, this is missing, you can contact the agency, or if you already have contacts to the family, you ask them to send an invitation letter. Payment cost is €75 for this visa. And as I conclude, it is very important, once you've checked and seen that you have all the documents and done your application process, don't try and call them every 2 weeks or 1 week, because that really wastes a lot of time, and it's better to just wait maximum 1 to 2 months, and then you can call and ask how far your process is. So desist from, you know, unnecessary calling like after 1 week or after 2 weeks, because the usual work time is roughly 1 to 2 months depending. It might be earlier, but don't try to call during that time. Just wait it out 1 month, 2 months, and then you can call, because I'm 100% sure actually before it clocks to 2 months, they will have gotten back to you. If it takes longer than that, it probably means maybe they still need some documents, and they'll definitely contact you and ask for those documents. So my lovelies, that's it about the au pair visa application process. For any questions, hit my DM or let me know in the comment section. For further questions about companies offering health insurances, go on my other video, the visa application process, in the description box. I'm going to try and put the checklist for you in the description box step by step, so you can actually print it out if you want. And I will also be doing another video where I get to explain to you how to write the motivational letter, because that is also part of the checklist. You must write a motivational letter while applying for the au pair visa. So until next time, my lovelies, don't forget to subscribe, don't forget to comment, don't forget to like, and of course, as usual, I wish you all luck. I wish you luck in your endeavors, in your applications, and if it doesn't work once, don't give up, don't lose hope. Your break will come. Until next time, I love you. Mwah.